are bold, you are fearless, you are radiant. It's time to unlock the diamond from within. BFF, we rise above, stronger together, we shine with love. Faith unshaken, hearts on fire, fearless souls, we're reaching high.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the BFF Empowerment Podcast. I am your host, Blaque Diamond, and today with me on the Women on the Rise segment of the Empowerment Podcast, I have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Mary Harris. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right. Well, do you mind telling the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Although I could speak for a long time or a short time, so I'll try and keep it short just to get us started. So, I'm Mary. I am a leadership coach and I work predominantly with women. And yeah, my mission in the work I do is really about empowering women and giving women the opportunity to just get from their life. So, whether it's their work, whether it's their personal life, and the way I see it, it's all part of the same thing anyway, to really live and thrive. And that sounds like something that maybe a lot of people say, but I think we get so caught up, especially at different moments in our lives, with different things that come along, whether it's to do with our work, whether it's to do with becoming parents, whether it's to do with the people around us, where we get so caught up in expectations and things from other people, that it's hard without help to actually kind of get back to, hang on, who am I, what do I need, how do I actually make that work? And what you need changes as well, and the things that maybe you did before don't work anymore. So that's my mission. The way I work with people, it's all about energy. So I'm sure we'll talk about that. And what got me here is I've been coaching for the last few years, but I worked in industry for a long, long time before that. So I'm an engineer by training, and I worked in industry for about 20 years before I decided to make my leap into coaching and have a real career pivot. So in a nutshell, that's me.
All right. So you sound like you fit right in for what the podcast is all about. I am actually currently studying for my certification to be a women empowerment life coach as well.
Awesome. Good for
I've
you.
always done it naturally. That's just people always have come to me and, having questions about this or that, or talk to me about this or that. So I'm kind of just making it official now to actually look at it more as a career opportunity.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that a lot of people get into it for that reason, right? It's sort of naturally, it's something that happens. You end up kind of giving advice or mentoring people, or you're drawn to supporting other people. And that's how a lot of people get into coaching. But what's great when you then do the training is it just gives you, those tools, that gives you some structure in the way that you actually do it. And it just makes it even more impactful then. So I think you're going to love it.
Yes. And I had been thinking about doing it for years, but I was just like, no, I already have so much on my plate that I'm already doing. No. But my current manager at my job, she read my latest book, which is my first nonfiction book, about, just some of the traumas that I've experienced in my life. And she was like, I really think you need to be a life coach. And I'm like, yeah, I thought about it, but nah. And she just kept
Yeah,
insisting.
it's
And I was
it's
like, you
not
know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and do it because I have
good for
thought
you.
about it.
Yeah, it's not such an easy leap. Like there's the idea and then there's actually doing it. And there's a whole lot of stuff that comes up. I don't know how it's been for you, but it was like that for me because I kind of got to a point where I decided that's what I wanted to do. And then I was like, oh, can I? Am I
Mhm.
a whole lot of imposter syndrome style stuff came up about, yeah, but I'm an engineer, who's going to take me seriously? Oh my goodness. Yeah. So there's kind of having the idea and kind of knowing inside you that it could work. And then
Mhm.
there's like actually turning it into a thing and making it what you do. And it's not such an easy journey. So good for you.
Yeah, and I think for me it's not as bad because everything I've done in my life has kind of been led up to this, like
Mm.
everything that I've experienced, what I already do as an author and a poet and a motivational speaker, like it already aligns with
Yeah.
me being a life coach. So for me, it's not as hard as of a transition. Because yeah, I feel like all my life I've been doing it.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems like a very natural step then. Yeah.
Okay. And so where are you located?
So I'm in the south of France, in a town called Saint-Laurent-du-Var, which isn't very well known. So the closest city is Nice. So I'm on the southeast corner of France. So it is really hot right now.
Oh
It's
wow. Yeah,
really,
it's
really hot.
hot here. I'm in the US and I'm in North Carolina. So we've been getting 90, 95 type weather just about every
Yeah.
day, raining some.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of helping, cool it down a little bit. But then as soon as the rain disappears, it's back to like 95 again. So
Ouch. Yeah. Yeah. That's intense. That's really intense.
wow, France. That's always somewhere I've always wanted to go.
You should definitely come. It's a beautiful country. So I moved here from the UK about, I don't even know, it was 2006 when I moved. So however long that is, nearly
Almost
20
20
years ago.
years.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Almost
time goes
20
by
years.
quickly.
Wow.
So yeah, I certainly worked as long in France, maybe longer actually in the end than I ever worked in the UK. So yeah, it's very much my home now. And yeah, this is a beautiful part of the world. So this corner of France, we're like right by the sea, but we've also got the Alps just really, really close by. So we've kind of got a bit of everything when it comes to the outdoors. And it's a beautiful part of the world. So I'm very lucky to live here.
And what made you leave the UK for France?
Well, the climate was one of the things.
I can understand.
So I've always been very sporty. I love the outdoors. I like being outside. And so actually my first idea was Australia. So I did a year of my degree in Australia, and I kind of found some of those things that I was looking for there. And I was like, I need to get back to Australia once I got back to the UK. But I mean, it's like the other side of the world from the UK. So I didn't do that straight away. And then other things happened, and this opportunity came up to move down here. And I was like, wow, this is a good compromise. I'm kind of finding those lifestyle things that I really like and an environment I like, but it's like an hour and a half's flight from the UK instead of being 26 hours. So it felt like a good, it felt like a good compromise. And yeah, there's lots of stuff I really like about the culture here.
Okay.
The way the French love their food, the way they have like a different attitude to kind of work-life balance, I would say, compared to the UK. And it works well for me. So I'm very happy that I live
like it. All right. So, let's see. Next, do you mind telling us a little bit more about your coaching?
With pleasure. So, I mean, what got me into coaching was the fact that I was very busy in my career. I had become a stepmom a few years before to 3 kids. So I kind of went from 0 to 3 very rapidly. And then
Sounds
I
like
had
me.
yeah, okay. When you have more things in common than
Well,
than
actually, I have
realized.
2, 1 biological and 2 step, but yes.
Okay. Well, then I had my daughter. So she's now 7. But at the time when I had this sort of big rethink about my life, she was about 2. So we're still kind of in that stage where, okay, they're bigger than they were. she was starting to sleep through the night finally, but you've got like 2 years or more of having not slept through the night. And everything felt pretty tough. I mean, it was a pretty crazy schedule, working full time, all the stuff going on with the kids. And I was like, well, I don't know, I had this sort of feeling that something was off, and I felt like I didn't even have time to stop and think about it. And then COVID came along. And actually, in the end, lockdown, even though it was something that we did not want, and there was lots and lots of things I hated about that, it did actually ended up like our change in routine. It created space, and I found I sort of ended up having this time in the mornings, which was just for me when everyone else was still asleep. And I actually started really thinking about, okay, what's going on, and like, what's up with me? lots of things about what, how much satisfaction am I really getting from my job? And am I showing up like the kind of mom I want to be? Why is it when I go and do sports now, it doesn't feel kind of fulfilling in the way it used to? And yeah, I got to this sort of conclusion by myself that I was like, well, maybe I need a different direction and I'd love to work for myself. And I feel like something around coaching and training is more me, because I've been doing some of that in my work and it seemed to be where I got the most satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, can I really do that? Like, I don't know. And then I worked with a coach. And that was such an eye-opening process. And I felt there were things that I ended up kind of realizing or discovering about myself that I thought I already knew, but in actual fact I didn't, or something about the way of coming at it from this completely different perspective. It was really, revolutionary for me. And I was like, okay, it's so much clearer. There's a whole load of work I wanted to do on just kind of aligning the way I live with what I believe in and what I want to do. And I hadn't realized to what extent it wasn't feeling like that was true up until then.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me realize that. And then the coach, so she's an American coach, and she was like, well, yeah, just quit your job tomorrow and get started. And I was like, yeah.
Oh,
so,
wow.
like, especially here, like in France, it's not like we do stuff a bit slower than that. It's not. Plus I have like kids and a mortgage, and I can't just leap like quite that fast. But she was like an amazing cheerleader as well in terms of boosting my confidence and helping me kind of see what was possible. Mm-hmm. It was really cool. And I was like, okay, I now need to kind of take this and figure out how, what's the way that I'm going to do it. So, lockdown ended, we went back to work. And then, I decided I wanted to do a coaching course. So I did a coaching qualification with an organization called IPEC Coaching in the US. Mm-hmm. And that was like another whole revolution. Then just going through that coaching training was just, I met amazing people. It opened my eyes to so many things. You end up doing so much work on yourself again. And I was like, I thought I'd already done a load of work, but okay, there's a whole load more to do too.
Yes.
But then it just shows you how powerful it is and how there's kind of layers and iterations. And I was like, it would be so cool to be doing this with people as my job. So it did, it only convinced me more that this was the right way to go. And then what did I do? And then eventually I spoke to my company saying, okay, actually, this is the plan that I have. And I left. So it's now been 2 years since I left my job, and I've been coaching full time.
Wow. See, I would love to do that. Even though I notice now in the workplace, they have started like implementing coaching.
Yeah.
Like as a part of like just the everyday workplace, just they have started implementing actual coaches like to help.
Yeah, and I think that's a really fantastic move. And I've seen a lot of training now for sort of managers and leaders includes coaching tools, and they talk a lot about having a coaching approach instead of a traditional management approach, which is fantastic. But to me, it's still not the same as really working with someone one-to-one and getting into some sort of deeper work for yourself. Because the only thing at work is it's kind of necessarily limited to the scope of kind of what's happening at work. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is no, like, our lives are not, we're living some kind of life at work and then we kind of switch over and we're living some other kind of, life outside of work. Of course, they're connected. And so, whilst I do work in companies and there's already amazing companies that do offer that and give coaching to their employees. It's fantastic because lots don't still. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing it sort of independently, I mean, you can just go wherever you want to go. And, if the subject's something completely unrelated to work, well, that's where you're going to go. And if today it's about work, well, okay, let's get into it, something happening at work. But there isn't this kind of, separation. It's nice not to have that separation. It's just
yes, because actually my manager is also a life coach, and that's why she was encouraging me to do it. So she does coaching for work, but then she does also do coaching outside of work.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there are so many kind of modalities and different people you can work with, but the process is kind of the same in the end. That's what's awesome as well about coaching compared to, because I had a lot of different mentors throughout my career who were there to kind of give you advice. But, coaching's not about advice. That's what's so much more empowering. I think it's much more about helping you go through a certain number of questions that help you figure out kind of what the real solution is for yourself. And that's so much more empowering than someone saying, hey, you should really do this. And you go, okay, that sounds like a good idea. I'll go and do that. It's not quite the same thing as going through your own process and coming up with your own solutions and making them happen for you. That's somehow much more empowering for me.
Exactly. Okay, so I do see that you specifically work with core energy coaching. So what
Yeah.
exactly is that?
What on earth is that? Yeah, so this is yeah. So it's interesting how I came to it actually, because in this whole period where I was thinking about coaching and doing a lot of work on myself, I came across, first of all, a book which is called The Power of Full Engagement. And it's a book by two American authors, Lower and Schwartz, and it was all about thinking about your energy. And it talks about the fact that you have kind of four, so there are two different things. One is about the fact that, you know what, they started off working with athletes and sports people and helping them. And then they kind of said, isn't it strange that we have an approach when it comes to people who are professional sports people? And then when it comes to working with people who are not in that environment, we have a completely different approach. Because sports people, we train, you compete, there's a period of recovery, and then we train again and we recover, and then maybe we compete, and we go through cycles. So why is it in a kind of corporate environment or a normal work environment we expect a kind of constant level of effort from people? Like we don't function like that biologically. That's not how we work. Why do we organize, you know, our days around something that's different from that? Which really spoke to me. And so reading this book, it then talked about 4 energy sources and about how you need to think about your mental energy, your physical energy, your spiritual energy, and your emotional energy, and thinking about how that works, what boosts that, what drains that. And I was like, this to me just makes so much sense. And I just love since I'm coming from sports, I guess also coming as an engineer, I like, you know, models, processes, and it's just like this works for me. And I can really see how that makes so much sense. Like if I've been working on something that's required loads of mental energy, I need to do something to recover from that afterwards. And the answer can be doing something physical, which is then going to just boost that energy and then maybe boost my emotional energy as well. Or if I do something that's emotionally draining, what do I do to get that energy back again? And thinking about how you spend your day and your time in that way, so much more effective than things about time management or, yeah. So I started there. And then when I was looking for a coaching school, I came across IPEC, and what they have is a model called core energy coaching. And I was like, okay, this sounds very connected. And yeah, they have their whole coaching approach, which is based on this idea of talking about energy. So that really spoke to me. And within that, they also have a part that they call core dynamics, where they as well talk about this thing about these different sources of energy, thinking about mental, emotional, and how that all works together. So it was really complementary to some of the ideas I'd already been kind of bringing together myself. And I just find it, I don't know about for you, but like it speaks to me so much more, this thing of talking about, you know, where my energy, is it high, is it low, what's it doing, to understand kind of how I'm functioning and how I'm showing up. Like it really speaks to me. So that's where that has come from.
Wow. Okay. And with your coaching, do you work with men and women or just women?
I work with men and women, although it's predominantly with women so far. That was honestly, yeah, where I wanted to focus initially, just because I saw my own case and I was like, oh my goodness, there must be so many people in this similar situation to me. That was kind of what opened that door. But yes, I work with both men and women. And something I did this year that I found really interesting was last year I did some workshops for women returning to work from maternity leave. So I can remember finding that period really difficult. So it was one of the things I definitely wanted to develop. And then this year, the company I was working with on that said, well, we want to do it mixed this time. We want it for all parents coming back to work. So I did that. And it was actually a real eye-opener to me. And I was like, this is fantastic. So I'm still learning. It was really interesting for me to see everybody's perspective on that and to what extent all of the parents were going through the same things. I'd seen it very much from my own as a mother, and then hearing all the fathers say very similar things, or the challenges around, well, how do I better support my partner because she's going through this, but I'm going through that, and what do I do? And I was like, oh my goodness, how valuable for everybody in this room to actually hear those experiences. Also realize it's amazing, I think, and that's what I've liked about a lot of the things I've done in coaching. So often we think we're kind of the only ones going through certain things or feeling a certain way. And there's something really, really useful about hearing other people just express the same thing. And you go, oh, okay. So we're kind of all going through that, actually. I think it was really valuable for everyone in the room to have, so many different perspectives on the same situation. Realize we're all just kind of figuring it out and tripping over, and this works and that doesn't. And also a bit of mutual support to kind of say, oh, you know, I had that issue and I tried this and that was good for me. And, oh, okay, well, thanks. Well, I looked really, again, really empowering. So yeah, men and women, but mostly women is the answer.
Okay. And so how do you feel that women can avoid or keep from burning out by using or utilizing their energy?
I think the thing is to really keep an eye on or be aware of where your energy is. And I think that's what I was not conscious of before, or at least not sufficiently. So, our energy, like I said, there are these 4 areas. So our emotional energy, that seems perhaps more obvious, but there's a whole scale of being, feeling at the one end like, oh, things are happening to me. I feel like a bit of a victim in what's going on in my life right now. I don't feel like I have any control, to maybe feeling very angry, up to feeling perhaps very, oh, well, things are as they are, and I'm just going to, make the best of it, up to feeling, fantastic and like you can change the world. And of course that goes up and down, but there are different things that are going to drive that emotional energy. And until you figured out what your own ones are and got into some of what some of your issues might be, we kind of end up just sort of putting up with the emotions that come to us instead of actually having any kind of conscious or sort of, I don't want to say control, mastering what's going on, saying, okay, this is happening. Okay, what am I going to do about it? So that's the emotional sphere. And then in the physical sphere, I mean, there's so many things. There's around the kind of the amount of movement we have, the things we're eating and drinking. And again, as we change and as we go through life, like we need slightly different things. Like I can't eat and drink in the same way now as I could maybe 20 years ago. It doesn't work the same way anymore.
Exactly.
And just being aware of that and just realizing there might be some quite small things there that could really change like how good of a day I had. Today was a really good example. So I was in 2 minds this morning. I was like, I've got some time. I'd really love to go for a bike ride. Have I really got time? Should I really do it? I went. The ideas, so I was riding by myself, the ideas I had whilst I were riding were just so many times more interesting and better than any ideas I would have had sat at my desk this morning. So I came back and I was like, okay, I didn't even get changed. I was like on my laptop going, okay,
Yeah, that's how you have
write
to
this down.
be.
And it's realizing that getting into that physical energy, and also it does something for my brain. So then back into the mental space, it's like I just sort of process stuff, think about conversations I've had, and then suddenly things just start falling into place in a way that they don't when I'm sitting still at a desk. So I'm much more aware of that now as well and how that works for me. And then the spiritual energy is the other one that I also was less tapped into before, which is a really big one, I think, especially for people who are heading down that kind of burnout route. Because the spiritual energy is all about that, what do I believe in? What's important to me? What is it that gives me that sense of, why I'm here and what I'm doing? And that's something that really came out when I did coaching, that I realized that when we started talking about values, and I really struggled with it at the beginning because I was like, well, lots of things, but I don't know. And how do I pick something that's more important than something else? And I really struggled with it. And when I finally started to get some clarity, it made me realize that I had some really big values or things that were important to me. And I didn't feel like I was actually really investing any time and energy in them. And I was like, oh, how did this happen? And then when I started to make changes, I realized how just even some quite small things that you can do that you're doing just regularly and every day that are aligning with those things, the energy boost is huge. It's like your day just makes so much more sense. You get this sense of kind of alignment, and that's like, it's like putting the booster on your energy. It's like hitting a button and going
like a rocket booster just on you,
And it's
strapped
like,
to your back.
yeah, it's like, why did nobody tell me this before? And I hadn't realized. I was so caught up in getting to work, trying to do a good job, like getting everybody to school, getting everybody like fed and washed at night, and all this kind of stuff that had to be done, that it felt like, how could I didn't have the time or energy to think about anything else. And as it turned out, when I started making those changes, I was actually doing a whole lot more and feeling a whole lot less tired because I'd found that booster button, and I was like, okay, now I get it. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
it's,
often feel like that
definitely.
myself because I do a lot, and sometimes I'm like, I don't think I have any more energy in the day to do anything else. And then here comes something else, and I'm like, I can't. It requires me to either sacrifice sleeping at night, having to get up super early in the morning, or go to bed really, really, really late. And I'm like, there has to be some place somewhere where I can cut out some time.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things I do with clients is sometimes until you start kind of mapping it all out and looking at all of the things that are going on, it's hard to really kind of get your head around it. But even that process of starting to write it down, okay, this is what I do here and this is what I do there, and this is different things are going to come up, but probably things are going to come up like Okay, why am I spending so much time on this particular thing that I perhaps isn't in the end a priority? And without maybe thinking about those priorities first, that's not perhaps so easy. I had someone I worked with who said that as well. She was like, I don't know what my priorities are. And I was like, well, maybe
Oh,
you should
wow.
start there, because if it's not that clear, she was like, oh, there's this and there's this. And I was like, okay. So that, you need to have that. I've thought about that a little bit at first. So yeah, maybe some things will start, if you're writing it down, maybe some things will jump out of the page straight away.
Hmm.
And then the work that I do with people is then going, okay, so now let's look at your energy over, let's say, a typical week of those things that you're doing. Which are the things that are kind of boosting the energy, and which kind of energy, and which are the things that are kind of draining it, and seeing about when they're happening. And are you getting that recovery from, I don't know, something that's very maybe mentally draining? Are you getting that recovery afterwards so that you can get that mental energy back, or not? Or maybe you're doing things back to back, and so that's just going to go and you get less and less.
Hmm.
And maybe the answer is, I mean, it might just be taking a walk for 10 minutes. That might be enough. It can be quite small things that just get that this cyclic process back, where you're going, okay, I've been draining, now I'm going to find a way to boost. And it doesn't necessarily mean doing nothing. Like often recovery, I think people think about, oh, that means I have to go and like lie down, or it really doesn't. It's changing up what you're doing. It's changing gears. So
Hmm.
if it was something emotionally draining, like for me, what can be really helpful is to do something physical. Just sort of get some of it depends what kind of emotion as well, but like maybe I'm spending a lot of time with someone, hearing about the challenges that they have, and that can be quite exhausting. But
Ooh,
getting into
yes,
something
trust me.
oh
I
yes.
literally have to like tell people because I'm an empath and I feel
Mm,
and and especially when they're dumping a lot of their struggles and I sometimes like, you know what? No, we can't talk for like 2 weeks or so because I need to regroup. Because
yeah,
I already know when I come back and talk to you next week, it's going to be the same thing. So
yeah.
I can't talk to you every day. Like, 'cause that's all it is this is going wrong. This is bad. This is I can't handle that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it can be a really tricky one to get right as well. I mean, it's trial and error of, how much of it, where do I need to put a boundary in place, because otherwise I can't show up and be available the next time that I need to be. And that's so often, especially with women, this thing about boundaries and all the different people that they're helping and supporting and feel that they need to be available for. That can be
Hmm.
such an energy drain. And sometimes those people do really need you. Sometimes it just needs a bit of a reframe about, it's okay, I can help them with this, but I maybe don't have to help them with everything. Or maybe I can
Hmm.
just time it differently. Sometimes it's just the timing. It's like the tough thing for me, I'd say my like big, when I'm kind of exhausted, it's towards the end of the day when I've kind of finished working, we've done the whole routine, the showers, the dinner, and then it's like, I really now just need like nobody speaking to me. It's like zero quiet. I need kind of, and if I have that time, I can recharge and I can come back. But that is not the time for, I don't know, big conversations or doing something that requires like a lot of thinking about. And my husband is terrible for when I'm in that moment someone's going, so I've been thinking about this thing, something that I've wanted us to talk about and think about for a while. So it's a little frustrating because I want to have the conversation. It was like, I really can't have this conversation now. I can have it at 7 tomorrow morning. That would be really perfect for me. Or I could have had it maybe 2 hours ago. I just can't even like engage my brain at this point.
Yeah,
um
that's what me and my significant other and in our household, like it's very important that we all get that alone time. And so, and I always stress he's never been in an environment where he was like, I've never been with someone that, say that they need alone time. So what exactly does that mean? And I'm like, it's
mm,
important that not only you, but I also have my alone time where
yeah,
we just want to be
it's really
by
important, and that's
ourselves.
something that I've is yeah, I've with my
I said, it's not
daughter.
that I don't want to be with you guys. That's not it.
Yeah.
It's just I need time to regroup. I want times where I can just focus on something I want to do and I don't have to worry about anybody else. So I have hobbies and things that I do, like, especially if I'm stressed. Like, I like to build with Legos, or I like to, there's just different things I do as part of my self-care that if
Mm,
I'm in a bad, mental state at that time or emotional state where I just like to be by myself, kind of whether it's, 10, 20, 30 minutes, just so I can Okay, now I can
Yeah.
get back to life.
Exactly. And that's recharging. And but what that looks like is just so different for different people. And it's just kind of figuring that out and then being respectful of the fact that, okay, that person is now recharging. So we let them do that, whatever, like I said, whatever that looks like. For my husband, it means going off for the day. He does paragliding. So he needs to leave and walk outside and then fly around in the air. Like, I mean, that's requires a lot more logistics than some Lego or, I like reading books as also.
Yes, me. I'm
But
very creative, so I'm very hands-on. So I like doing something that's either artistically or I like reading, listening to music, and I'm also an author, so, or I
yeah,
write. So,
makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. But it looks different for different people, and it can take a while to figure that stuff out. And like I was saying before, I think the thing is when at different moments in our lives, like what it looks like changes a little bit too. Maybe fundamentally we're still the same, but before I met my husband and we were in this big family of 6 people, I was living alone. I was sharing a flat with a friend. I had plenty of alone time, so it was never really like a thing. And I only really discovered it was a thing when I started living with 5 other people and being responsible for so much all of the time. And I just wasn't aware of the fact that I was no longer getting that time, and it was a thing that I needed. And it was just this big, like, oh, okay. I always felt before like if I was going to go I needed to be going and doing something. Like it's like, oh, I now have an appointment for this, or I've got some training, or I'm just going, no, I just need to be in a place where there just aren't any of you.
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
quiet.
like, no offense.
Yeah,
Just give me that space. I'll be back. Trust me, I'm not
exactly.
going never come out. I just need just 30 minutes. Just give me 30 minutes.
Exactly. But I mean, yeah, it can take a little while to figure that out. And also kids, like that's not necessarily an easy thing for them too. So now now they get it. My daughter has spent a lot of time kind of explaining, how mummy sometimes she starts being all kind of cranky. We call me I become a crocodile is the way we call it. I was like, right, so if you leave me alone, like really leave me alone for the next half an hour, everything will be good. Like if you don't, the crocodile is going to come out. I can feel it coming. I'm too tired. I need some space.
Yes.
And so I think that's cool as well for her that she can kind of understand that, and she can maybe also then for herself figure out how to regulate that kind of thing herself as she gets older and when she needs those different things. But
exactly.
I just wasn't fully aware, or I didn't really have the understanding or the words for it before, and it's been so liberating and so much more. It makes our family life so much easier now that I get that.
Exactly. And see, that's what I was telling my significant other. And I'm like, being in a relationship, like you have to have a personality and things that you do outside of being a parent, outside of being in a relationship, or you will lose yourself.
Yeah.
So you can't be so caught up in being in a relationship and being a parent that you forget about taking care of yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think it is so difficult for so many mothers, especially, to not fall into that like lost identity trap. I think that whole mothers lost in action. I think there are lots of them. And there's a client that I've been working with for the last year or so who her children are now leaving home. One's left and has been gone for a while, and one is kind of old enough and is going to be leaving home soon. And that's been one of the things we've worked on, that, that being in that mother's role has been such a big part of her identity for so many years. It's like, well, who am I now? Like, I get that they need me in a different way now, but like, I don't, who am I, and what does that look like without them and those responsibilities? And it's been quite the journey. She was like, well, I have my professional role and then I have this mum role, and then now that I don't have that mum role in the same way, and it's been such a fantastic journey seeing this kind of, so what did I used to do? What did I like? Oh yeah, but I can't do that, but maybe I can. And little by little, there's been this shift. And then she's like, and she's rediscovered so many things, like drawing, like riding horses, like all sorts of things. And she's found that energy to like meet some other different people, kind of say, oh, hey, I'm doing this. Maybe you'd like to join in, and just start building little by little this whole other life, like exactly what you're describing. It's like, oh, okay. But, on the outside, nothing has fundamentally changed. She's still doing the same job. She's still married to the same guy. Her day to day with her relationship with her kids is kind of as it was, but she just feels so different. And like her friends and people around her are saying, oh my goodness, you've just completely changed. And it's yeah, it's beautiful. It's really, really beautiful.
It is definitely because yeah, I was a first time mom, so I was definitely mom mode. Like, oh, I got to do this, got to be involved in that, got to do this, that, work, and then I kind of yeah felt like I was losing who I was as a person, and I didn't like it. I was starting to
Yeah,
feel depressed and just feeling like my life only was going to work and taking care of my kid. That was it.
yeah,
And so I just started kind of like, you know what? I love you. You know, this is before my significant other because I've always been a single mom. I'm like, mommy just needs an hour. Can you just go in your room, you know, play? I'll come back. I just need an hour. And so slowly I started kind of just taking that hour and kind of getting back to who I used to be before I became a mom. And
yeah,
so now that I'm in a relationship and there's more children, I'm like, yes, it's definitely more important that I keep taking that time out for myself
yeah.
because, yeah, it can be very, very overwhelming.
For sure. And yeah, it can really sneak up on you if you haven't, like you've done, you've kind of said, okay, I've figured out that I need that. So I'm going to make sure it's there. But if you haven't, already done that, then yeah, it can take a while to kind of figure out that's what's driving this kind of feeling down or feeling like you're not quite sure who you are anymore. And for me, it was like just nothing seemed that like everything had lost its kind of shine. I don't know. It's like nothing was that bad, but nothing. I didn't feel that excited about anything. I didn't feel like anything was that.
It just felt
Like, oh,
like your normal humdrum every up. I do this, I do
yeah,
that. Just a
everything was just a bit
normal,
blur.
boring
Yeah,
routine.
yeah,
Yeah, you get bored.
yeah. It's it. And it was like we just did something really nice, and even doing the nice thing was just a bit. Yeah, I just like, where's that extra something just didn't seem to be there anymore. But it came back. That's the good thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've been basically on top of the world ever since like I started doing that. And yeah, that's how this podcast came to be. That was part of
Okay.
what I've wanted to do, and I kind of kept thinking about it and thinking about it. I'm like, oh no, I'm not gonna have the time to record because then I got to do it when he's asleep because then he's gonna be making noise, and you know, basically I was coming up with all these reasons why I
Yeah.
shouldn't do it. And then, you know, something just said, you just need to do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, here I am. I've
Good
been
for
doing it for
you.
a few months now.
Yeah, and then you start figuring out how it fits in and what time but yeah,
Hmm.
it's just
Hmm.
starting. Good for you.
Yes, yes. All right. Well, this has been a very great and very interesting conversation. I've really enjoyed just the nuggets and just learning more about you and your coaching and your different approaches to things and how, yeah, we can, you know, keep ourselves from burning out by practicing just simple forms of self-care. A lot of people don't realize how important self-care is. A lot of people, when they think about self-care, they think about, oh, you know, I need to go get my nails done. I need to go get a massage. I need to go. Yeah, that's great, you know, self-care, but self-care is more than
Yeah.
just the physical.
Yeah, and it can look like, I think that's the thing. It can look like so many different things. I've had people go, "Oh yeah, but I'm no good at meditating." I was like, "Who said you had to meditate?" I mean,
Hmm.
it's great, but or no, you don't have to leave for a week on a retreat and speak to no one. And I mean, you can, but like it can be much simpler things than that. And it needs to be, it needs to be built into the routine. I think that's the thing as
Hmm.
well. That's
That
it,
consistency.
yeah, yeah, and it's not. Doesn't have to feel, super life changing every time, but it's just going to keep everything in that better balance, and then you just don't fall into that kind of spiral of heading into burnout or crocodiles coming out every day instead of just once in a while. I had this, there was a mum I worked with who she called it outbursting. She was like, I feel like I outburst all the time. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that it was a verb, but I like it. I like it used like that. I was like, I just outburst all the time. I was like, yeah, that's kind of a sign. So yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, we have come to my favorite part of the show. It's called What Is She Thinking? I am going to give you five random phrases. You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't have to think
Okay.
too hard about it. Just something fun to kind of get to know you after a serious conversation.
Okay.
What is she thinking? What are her thoughts? Quick, fast, no blinking. What do you got?
All right. So your first phrase is going to be France is.
Okay, so what came up, which is like really cliched, is croissant. Eating croissant. It's a real cliche, but they are lovely. They are lovely.
Yes. All right. So your next one is the children of the world.
Ooh. Oh, this is a hard one to be spontaneous on. I'm thinking of the children of the world. I guess it's something about, don't realize yet, probably, like what a beautiful, amazing place they're growing up in. And I hope they realize soon enough to be able to start taking care of it as soon as they can.
Yes. Okay. So you can't go to the fair without buying.
Candy floss.
Yes. Is that like cotton candy?
Yeah, I was going to say that's
Oh,
not what you guys
okay.
call it, is it? Yeah, cotton candy. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So your next one is my favorite cookie is.
Ooh, it's got nuts in it and caramel. There has to be caramel. That's really
Ooh,
important.
that sounds good.
Mm.
All right. So your last one is truth be told, I am.
Ooh, I am. This is hard. I see. I'm having to think about this. I am lots of things, so I'm going to try and be more spontaneous about this. I am. Yeah, it's something around being just like a now much older, but the same like backpacker that I was when I finished university, just wanting to kind of wander around and explore the world and read books. So something like that.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Miss Mary, is there anything else you would like to add? Any last words you would like to leave the listeners with, and any social media website or anything you would like to
Oh,
share with
for
listeners?
sure. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of last words for everybody, or the kind of what can actually be helpful, I would say just wherever you are and whatever you're working on and whatever's going on with you, then just thinking about what I was saying about energy and thinking about your energy can just help you figure out a few things. I think that can really help you every day. And in terms of me, so you can find out more about me and about working with me if you want to. On so my website is www.resonance.coach, and you can find all my social media links and things on there too. So,
All
yeah, come and
right.
check it out. And I have something on
Yeah.
there actually called an energy profiler, so you can do like a little test and have a little play
Oh,
around
to
with
see where your
energy.
energy levels are.
Yeah, so that can
Wow.
be a great place to start to kind of go, oh, okay. So it takes about 5 minutes.
Definitely.
Yeah, so that could be a good place to start, just to start investigating that whole idea a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of the BFF Empowerment Podcast. Don't forget to follow the podcast on all major podcasting platforms. Be sure to also visit our website at bffempowermentpodcast.com. We are on social media at BFF Empowerment Podcast on Facebook, Threads, YouTube, and also Instagram. If you would like to be featured as a Women on the Rise guest, be sure to leave us a email at bffempowerment@gmail.com. If you have any topic suggestions, just want to say hi, show some love, definitely send us an email as well. And thank you guys so much for listening. See you next time.